Ahmed, why don't you start off by leading the way in this conversation on the troubles that journalism and journalists face in this world where disinformation campaigns tends to bombard us at enormous speed.
Well, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Thank you to the Synergia Foundation for hosting us, and I'm delighted and honored to be alongside Shekhar Gupta in addressing this question. Journalism in this disinformation pandemic. Well, I think the first thing one has to say is there's nothing new under the sun. Basically, there's no change in humankind's willingness to tell lies nor to believe lies. The evidence of all our history is that lies and disinformation have always been with us, are very powerful factors. It's no surprise that when we journalists write about this subject, we very often dig up the same old quotes because these are eternal issues.
It is all wrong because it's all wrong for what would be primetime TV because this will get no ratings because when you have panelists all agreeing with each other, you are guaranteed to have no ratings. By this time, I should be sort of dying to throw stuff at Bill. On the other hand, I have to agree with him on every point. So let me just make it like a relay race and pick up the baton from him. Now, very important point he made about citizen journalism. Now, when I saw this idea emerge about 15 years ago, I called it a pestilence. And at that time, this idea had a lot of sex appeal. This was a great liberal idea that anybody with a smartphone could be a journalist. Effectively, what it also meant for me, our parochial interest was very important. That would mean that journalists are not needed.
When Virat Kohli lost this week, because he lost the toss, he said, well, you know what, you've got to embrace the state of the wicket and you've got to adjust to those conditions. And journalism has got to adjust to those conditions now. So like at AFP, we've set up a fact-checking service and we have fact-checkers in more than 35 countries now that will grow a lot over the next year. So, you know, it's a growth area for us because I think independent media and even state media recognize that they need some fact-checking now to help us kind of bolster confidence in the news.
Shekhar and Bill, three quick questions. You know, I'm sure the panelists know, but for the audience, you know, there is a fine difference between misinformation and disinformation. I mean, disinformation is when you are doing it intentionally. Misinformation is a lie that's kind of done unintentionally, though the impact and effect could be the same. But the classic case, I think, of disinformation and misinformation both combined in exactly 1 year back, and you know, it gives almost a circular sense of time to me because it was last year around this time that in Delhi's, Nizamuddin, where the Tablighi case.
In the Economist magazine cover or in another print magazines.
Needs much more time than just 60 minutes or 65 minutes that we've had. Thank you, Kishile. And what I've learned from this is that before we do fact check, we also need to do a tech check for ourselves, given the problems that we had during this conversation. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Dr. Maria. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Shekhar and Bill, for joining us. And thank you all for joining into this conversation. Do write into us. We'll try and forward your questions to our speakers and try and get a response whenever they are free. Thank you so much.